Hello.
Hello, welcome to the Mental Med. That wasn't recording, so I forgot to put the mic on. Oh, yes. All right, so welcome along. Tonight we are talking about the AFL, but before we do, because we've got Charmaine in once again, we're going to quiz her with rapid fire 20 questions.
Oh, no.
Questions.
Questions.
There we go.
All right.
All right, let's do this. Are you ready?
No.
We have 60 seconds to ask as many
Oh, you
questions
weren't
as we
actually
can.
joking?
No, I'm being absolutely dead set serious.
This is the legitimate part of our show, even though it's never been done before. But this is only our second PC or not PC.
Yeah, I was going to say those three people that are out there listening at the moment. I'll enjoy it. All right, here we go.
Alright, go.
What's your nickname?
Sean.
Why?
It's a short version of my name.
What's your favourite food?
Oh, pizza.
What's your favourite dessert?
Chocolate mousse.
Chocolate mousse. Wow. What's your favourite drink?
Gin.
What?
Gin.
What? Hey,
Chin?
Jun. Who's Jun?
I thought you
Where's
were
it come
saying
from?
chin, like the bottom of
Hang
your
on,
jaw.
60 seconds. What sports do you or have you played? Okay, we'll pass on that one. What do you do for a hobby?
Annoy my family. Or anything creative.
Fairly broad, but anyway. What do you do to relax?
I don't relax. Massage.
No.
And
Okay,
go.
let's keep going. What's your favourite genre of music?
90s.
What's your favourite TV show?
Sex and the City.
Have we hit 60 seconds yet?
I don't know, I'm just
No
listening.
one's
I'm,
done.
I'm just listening to the answers to
Sorry.
these
You
questions.
may as well just...
Oh, let's just keep going.
Yeah.
If you could marry any famous person, who would it be?
Oh, no, we've moved on from that. I have to think about it. Can I have two?
Adjudicator.
Can I have an older one and a young one?
No.
Zac Efron.
Okay. What's your favourite TV show? there. It's a bit slow, but it got there eventually.
Friends.
Why?
Because
No, that was actually, I've done it back to front. Don't worry about that. Okay, next question. Who is your favourite artist?
as in painting, I like.
It's actually music, but you know.
Oh, Robbie. If it's music, it's Robbie Williams.
As a kid, did you want to do anything when you got older?
I wanted to be a travel agent.
Why?
I
To travel.
to travel, yeah.
But aren't they the ones stuck behind the desk?
No.
No, actually, no.
Back
they're
then,
not.
they had to actually go and experience the trips and the hotels and things like that.
I had a housemate who was a travel agent for a while and got to do a lot of travelling for free.
Well, this isn't a chit chat between you, you know.
What do you love most in the world?
My husband and daughter.
Oh.
Oh, isn't that
Do you like how she stammered?
She had to think about it a little bit there, but that's okay. If you could eliminate one thing in your life, what would it be? My husband.
Hello?
My husband. No. At the moment, the extra stress.
Hello?
If a genie granted you 3 wishes, what would they be?
That's pretty serious. Number 1 would be for husband to be well.
That's nice.
Number
Oh.
2 would be to win the lotto.
Yes.
Number 3.
Generic answer. Fish.
Yeah.
What would you say?
Nothing. Keep going. Number 3.
Can I save number 3 for when I'm in an emergency?
Oh, now there's thinking. All right, we'll take that. If you could change one thing in the world, what would you do?
Oh, well, kill cancer.
Yeah, that's a pretty darn good one. What regrets, if any, do you have from when you were younger?
My husband.
Not
Meeting me?
in really. I was very blessed to do everything, and I didn't actually party enough, so maybe that was one of them.
Well, that's 20 questions in 60 seconds, so thank you, Charmaine.
6
That's
minutes.
wonderful.
It's
It's a pretty loose 60 seconds.
Absolutely.
Did
Yeah.
we learn anything from that?
Not really.
Okay.
I was waiting for a timer to come down, but that didn't happen. Ah, well, there we go. Okay.
Alright, so tonight's topic is the AFL. Now, before we start our show, our views portrayed on this show are our own. They are our opinions and no one else's. We're just 2 blokes with a ton of free time on our hands, and we're just here to take the piss out of you and each other. So there you go. So the AFL, is it a business or a sport? Is it better than what it was 1999 or before or after? And are the players earning too much or not enough? Does the umpire have way too much influence in today's game? Let's talk about that then.
I tell you
What
what,
does AFL mean?
Keeping in mind this has to be a 40-minute show.
with the AFL, we could talk forever and a day and we'd still not get over half the topics. Look, my personal opinion is that it's gone from being a sport, an enjoyable sport, to one that's been governed by too much money.
Yep.
Way too much money.
It's a business now. It's no longer a sport, and I think once it, and I say AFL, I use that term very loosely. Once it became the AFL, it changed.
What was it known as before?
Well, it was the VFL, the SANFL, and we played. Oh, now just to let you know, Mad Footy Fanatic is in fact a born and raised South African who moved and spent 13 odd years in New Zealand and came to Australia and said, first time I'm watching the AFL, why does everyone just keep kicking the ball in the air? So coming from a rugby game, coming from rugby to AFL, and when I went across to New Zealand and watched rugby, I'm thinking,
You were so bored.
yeah, this is, apart from the cheerleaders,
I've got to disagree on that one. It's the last of the games where you can actually touch each other in a masculine way.
Yes, well, yeah.
Yes, they're definitely not as precious with that sport.
No, see, what I believe what's happened there is obviously insurance companies have been getting into the AFL, and they've said, listen, you're not going to get insurance if you don't start sorting out some of these things.
Yeah.
I feel that Aussie rules is turning into a non-contact sport.
Well, it's a business now, isn't it? And now that it's a business, that AFL is ultimately liable for anything that happens. Hence, all the concussion rules coming into play.
But to some degree, they need to be because people can't die.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
It's all about
and if you
people's
think
safety. But how did we manage for so many years? You know, look at Port Adelaide's creed of 150 years. And we've only really been anal about this for the last 30, really.
Is it because? But we know more. Medical research, time. The gridiron and NFL also went through this stage, but a lot earlier, and that's why they padded up to the max because they still had to have a contact sport. So how did they have a contact sport? They had to be protected, so that's why they are padded up to the max. So, should the AFL's players be protected more? Should they be wearing gear, or should they just be there literally?
Well, I've been saying this for a few years now. Are they going to one day bring in that you have to wear a head helmet?
Plenty of players in the past have worn those head protection.
It'll come to a time when it's going to be mandatory.
Yeah, I can't see why it's a problem. I mean, it's only vanity really at the moment that's stopping them from doing it, I feel.
So I'm on the other side here, so just to give the listeners, because we're not on video, a background. So I only came into the AFL world in 2014
when Adelaide
Oval opened its new stadium, and Paul decided this would be something fun to do as a family. Let's get a family pass and something to do, somewhere to go. And I was like, yawn. At least someone else could go with him if I don't want to go. Why on earth would I want to go watch this ridiculous sport? I was still quite into my rugby back then. However, rugby is not really televised here, and this is rugby union we're talking about, so it's not as common. So we went to the first game of 2014 Adelaide Oval inaugural game, and it was a showdown. And the team that we were barracking for was Port Adelaide. And for those of you who do know me, know where we stand now. So this is year 8 that we are now doing this, and I am probably the most full-on Port Adelaide fan out there.
Is.
So I really enjoy the sport. However, I only know what I know from the last 8 years, and I listen to conversations about people who've watched it in the past and the difference in the game, and we watched a couple through COVID, some old showdowns and some with Tony Modra, and even some older games than that, and they were really interesting. I thought it was quite different in how it was played. It was quite full on.
You need to watch a couple of games in for the original Port Adelaide team with Russell Ebert and the other boys in it, because that was when the game was at its peak. It was fantastic back in the early the 80s, 90s fish. You reckon?
Yes, I'm just trying to get the stream up. Yep.
About then was when it was really when the SANFL.
Yeah.
When the SANFL, before the AFL was out, it was only Victorian.
I went to my first.
And waffle as well.
Yeah, I went to my first SANFL game when I was in year 7, so that would have been 1985, and I watched Norwood and Sturt. My neighbours took me. They were Sturt supporters, and I was a Norwood supporter because my parents being English, my dad went for Aston Villa, and they were red and blue. So I followed the thing on and went red and blue. So totally different then to what it is now. Totally different.
It is, but we have to also remember in every aspect of our lives, since the 80s, the 90s, the 20s, everything has evolved. Television, business, corporate world, retail world, everything has evolved.
But it doesn't necessarily mean it's better.
No, it doesn't actually mean it's better, but everything is taking different steps. So nothing that we have around us is the same as what it was.
No.
And I think we sometimes need to just sit back and still just look at what's being played in front of us, because they're still incredible athletes. They play what I think now is quite a